I have had multiple real estate agents come to me just in the past week and say, Justin, I'm looking for some help. I have other clients and agents who come to me regularly and say, hey, I'm always looking for help. The reality is right now, the real estate industry is booming. And those that want to perform at a high level are eager to continue to pursue those big opportunities without giving up that which matters most, which is the people around them in their personal relationships. This episode today is going to teach you how to attract and maintain great leaders by becoming a coaching leader, someone who really attracts people and keeps them because you're able to help them become more, help get the most out of them for their sake. You're going to love this episode. You're going to love Dan Foster, today's guest, who's the VP of Sales and an executive coach at Building Champions, has been for over a decade. He's an amazing individual and someone from whom you're going to learn. If you've ever struggled at getting and keeping people and or you're just now entering into that world, this is an episode that you are going to want to listen and share with others around you. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Very excited today on a Friday. You normally don't hear from me on Fridays, but today's a special day because we have a very special guest who's talking about a very important topic, one that the world needs to hear right now, which is about leadership. Specifically, we're going to teach you on this episode how you can become a leader coach, a coaching leader, right? One that really attracts and keeps great talent. Before I introduce today's guest, let me just remind you that inside of the Think Bigger Real Estate group on Facebook, I take very small snippets of each and every interview, as well as very tactical things that you can apply. And I put it there for you to be able to implement the things that we're talking about. So if you're not yet a member of the Think Bigger Real Estate group on Facebook, be sure you get included there. Now, back to today's guest. This is a gentleman who I've been friends with for several years now. He was one of the early guests back when it was the Think Bigger Mastermind. We've come a long way since then. Dan Foster, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Justin, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me back on. And it's great to see the success that you've had and your show and that you're reaching more and more people. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It's really because of quality guests like you. If I just got on and talked, I think my numbers wouldn't be nearly as great. But when I can bring on people who really have deep expertise in something, it helps. So I want to give a little background, kind of more background on you. Obviously, you are hold a couple of very important roles within a very well-known organization called Building Champions. What a great name, right? What a great name. Now, probably even above that, you would put the fact that you've been married for 23 years.
Yeah.
You've got two children, ages 17 and 15. Tell me a little bit about what's your favorite part about being a dad, Dan?
Oh my gosh. Favorite part about being a dad. I love this season of life that we're in where our kids are starting to, express some independence. They're getting out on their own, but yet they're still tethered to us just a little bit. And so I love just watching my kids be themselves, figuring out their identity and who they're going to be in life. And they're thinking more clearly about things. We're having deep discussions about the social issues that are going on and how to just be successful in life. And it's just a whole nother level of conversations right now that I absolutely love about my kids. And what I love about both of them, though, is just they both have a servant's heart. They love helping people, and that brings me a ton of joy to see them willing to do that on a regular basis. So,
Dan, a few of my favorite quotes are, no success can compensate for failure in the home. And I believe that that's, as far as a community goes as well, is that really that it's so important for us to get leadership in the home, right? Yeah. First.
Amen. Yeah.
And we can't put our other leadership responsibilities in front of that, or else those failures begin to act as an anchor and kind of sabotage our success. So I love the fact of it just exudes from you this love of being a dad, right? Not the fact that you are a dad. And I got to do these things. Yeah, my kids, like they're a lot of work, right? Like sometimes you hear, and sometimes people say that stuff, being funny. But I just love how when I asked you that question, your face lit up and you just talked about everything you love about this period of life. People know how we feel about them, right? Like we can say what we say, but they know how we feel about them. And I'm sure your kids are so, just blessed to have someone like you that just loves them and loves being a dad. So
I hope so. I'm going to have them watch this so that they hear you say that. So yeah.
Emma, Jackie, listen. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about your experience prior to even becoming a VP and an executive coach at Building Champions, because prior to that, you were in the real estate industry. Right?
I was, I got my real estate license when I was still in college. I was looking for a way to help pay for school, and I married my wife while we were in our senior year at college. And so I needed a job, and I thought, I've seen these open houses where, realtors sit on the weekends. I'm thinking that might be a great opportunity for me to earn some money. I'll get my license and I'll do open houses for other realtors in the office. And sure enough, that's what I did. And that's how I got started. I think I was maybe 19, 20 years old when I got licensed and as a realtor, and just built my business by sitting on open houses, working with some great agents in the Portland area, Rob Molzon, and he taught me a ton about the business. And I eventually went out on my own and continued to build my business, became a branch manager for Prudential Northwest Properties when it was still around. Now it's Berkshire. And ended up managing 2 branches for Prudential and had a great team of agents that I got to work with, just wonderful people that I still connect with today. And it was then in that role that I started bringing this whole idea of coaching leadership into the way I managed and the way I engaged my people. And I absolutely loved doing it. And it led to tremendous results for me as a leader of other realtors in terms of building my team and then building my branches together. So
that's a powerful background for the audience that we're talking to today, right? Is the real estate industry specifically. Again, we get, people from other industries that find a lot of relevance with the guests and the content that we share. But really your background is you have seen real estate agents who started to succeed at a high level and quickly started to need help, right? It's either I wear out my health and my relationships and I continue to try and do it all by myself, or I start to attract other talented people that can represent my brand, can maintain my level of standards, and can be an extension of me, right? But there's this difficulty in doing that, right? That sometimes agents have a hard time letting go and really becoming a coaching leader. I'm excited to get into this topic because again, you not only coach executives and professionals, but you coach the coaches that coach the executives and the professionals, which is
right. In my role at Building Champions, I have the awesome opportunity and the privilege of coaching the coaches at Building Champions. And so about half of the team, we've got a total of about 21 coaches, and about half of them report up through me. And I have the opportunity to work with them on delivering coaching excellence and delivering on our brand promise every single day. And that's a real joy for me. I have a few clients that I also still work with, but the main priority for me is helping our coaches deliver with excellence.
When you say your brand promise, is that what you're talking about? Is it Building Champions? Is it delivering an excellence? Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's, really it's our brand promise is that we come along beside you and journey with you as a leader, both your self-leadership and helping you to have the greatest team effectiveness that you can possibly have, and then ultimately organizational impact. And so our brand promise is that we really want to come along beside you and help you transform into the leader that you've either believed that you're called to be or that you aspire to be. And that's what our role is as a coach. It's not to solve all your problems, but it's to help you, to enable you to realize what's possible in your life and in your leadership, and to come along beside you as a partner to challenge the way you're thinking, give you new ideas on competencies and the way in which you behave, so that you can be the best version of yourself, both at home and at work for anyone that you're leading.
Oh, I love that. And I love the fact that you said self-leadership, right? It's really hard to lead other people when our own life's a little bit of a mess.
Right.
And we all have things we're working on.
Absolutely.
But if we're this facade and we got it all figured out behind the scenes, it's pretty messy. It's hard to really lead people, truly, isn't it?
It is. Self-leadership precedes all other forms of leadership. If you're not taking care of yourself at home, your overall well-being, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to show up to work each day and to give your best for your people. And the thing is that anyone that you are leading, they're watching and they're listening, and they see how you engage people. They see how you lead yourself, and they make a decision in that moment. Do I want to be like this person? Do I want to exchange my time, my talent, and my resources to come and work for this individual and to be under their leadership? And if they don't see someone that is taking self-leadership seriously and doing it on a regular basis, and they say, I want to model that type of leadership, I want to model that type of behavior, then there's a miss and there's a disconnect, and you're going to see people turning over on your teams. You're going to see people that stay for a little bit but then end up leaving, or they they just don't respect you, and your team can't be effective, and they can't help you be successful as a real estate agent or a sales professional. If you don't have a team that believes in you and trusts you and wants to give their best for you, it's very difficult for you to help reach your goals that you want to achieve.
So well said, Dan. Just recently, in fact, just this week, I have had conversations with two great agents who came to me and said, "Hey, Justin, can I spend a little time with you? I'm looking for a talented person to fit this role," right?
Yep.
These are both very successful agents. They've had people in the past, but I do know that we're at a time where the real estate industry is kind of busting at the seams, right? People are a lot of times overworked. There's just so much going on and so much opportunity that they may be missing out on, whether it be opportunity in their business or just opportunity of now their kids are at home more, they're present more because of the pandemic, and they're missing out on that because they're working so much. So they're looking for talented people to bring along with them so that they can take advantage of both the business and personal opportunities that are in front of them. And so this topic is super relevant. I know firsthand because I work in the trenches together with real estate agents, mortgage loan officers. I know they're looking for talented people. So I know today we're going to really talk kind of about why coaching leadership is so important. Coaching leadership. This is a fascinating topic. Give us a definition. What is that, Dan?
Yeah, coaching leadership is basically a leadership philosophy where you say, I want to engage my people, and I want to engage them as whole persons, as whole individuals. So I want to make meeting with my people one-on-one and engaging them consistently on a regular basis to find out how they're doing, connect with them from a person as people, to make sure that they've got a clear vision of where they're going in their career, or in terms of tying it into how they help fulfill our vision, my vision, help them to be productive, help them to have focus in terms of knowing what they're supposed to be doing every single day. And so it's basically a philosophy that says, I want to develop the people that work for me, and I'm going to do that through coaching them and through working with them one-on-one, rather than maybe the old school management that would say, I'll meet with you when I've got a problem and you're not producing the results that I want, you're making mistakes, and therefore I'm going to come down and I'm going to bring the heavy hammer. And it was a little bit more of that warden mentality, where if everybody stayed in line and did exactly what their job description said, then man, no news is good news from the boss, right? But this type of leadership style is more one where you have a heart and a passion for seeing people develop into the best versions of themselves. You want it for yourself and you want it for other people, because you know that if they're doing what they're called to do and they're living out their strengths and they're being the best version of themselves, then they're going to help you grow your business, and they're going to be happier, they're going to be healthier, they're going to be more productive. And that's what I believe the coaching leadership philosophy allows leaders to do. It allows them to move from being the standard manager that you read about all in the books to more of a coaching leader that really cares about their people, knowing that work can be a place where you feel known and cared for, and you're also successful. You're getting things done, you're growing, you're increasing market share. And that's cool. When we can merge both of those together, I think that's where everybody really enjoys their work. They go home happy at night. They get excited when they wake up in the morning to do their work because they feel known, they feel cared for, and they've got a leader that they work for that's willing to invest in them. So that's what the coaching leadership philosophy is all about.
I love that. It takes me back to my years when I was a high school football player. I had the good fortune to play with some amazing athletes that gave us a great win-loss record. I don't know how much of that was attributed to me, probably not as much, but I was fortunate to play for a couple different coaches.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how a good coach got the best out of people. When we loved to be there, we'd run through a brick wall for that guy, right?
Yep, exactly.
And because we knew how much he loved us. Like, it wasn't about him. He was one of us, and he was one of us, but we totally respected him, right? And so kind of, I just had these flashbacks to these coaches, literally coaches, as you described what great leadership looks like, right? You connect with them on a human level. They have a vision for where you're going, and their plan in place to help get the best out of me. And that's really cool to hear that, to think of that concept brought into the business world. Everybody ought to think of themselves that way. I mean, am I taking that correctly? Is that if you're a leader and you're hiring people to come work with you, or attracting people even to work with you on an outsourced basis, you're you need to act as almost like a coach. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's really actually becoming the expectation that employees, team members have when they do come to work for an organization or for a leader. The expectations of employees are changing right now. It's no longer just, hey, I hope I'm paid good and I get good benefits and, I don't have to go work in a coal mine to support my family. It's like there are these higher levels of expectation of what people are looking for from leaders. And with those higher expectations also comes a ton of choice, right? And so people can say, if I'm not getting this from my leader, guess what? I'm out of here. The whole idea of working for an organization for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, that's out the window right now. And so as leaders, if you're going to form a great real estate team, if you're going to have a great branch, you've got to invest in those people, and you've got to do it in a different way than all the old school management books that you've read about, in my opinion.
See, yeah, it's not about how much can you, yeah, and you brought up a couple of really fascinating points. The old rules were, as long as I pay somebody well,
Yep.
And I'm nice to them, that's enough. And that's the baseline, right? But beyond that, it's actually tapping into their inner potential and helping them see a vision for themselves that maybe they didn't see before. And they realize that the fastest and best path to their ideal life is with you involved, as opposed to
right.
anything else, right?
Yeah, Gallup has been doing a ton of great research on this, Justin. And in pre-COVID, they came out with a book called simply It's the Manager. And it was all about employee engagement and how to build great teams. And in the book, they have some just really damning stats around management and how it's being done. And one of them is that 67% of employees are actually showing up disengaged to work. And this was pre-COVID. So you add the stress of COVID and everything that's been going on, I'm sure that number is up higher now. And then 16% of people were actually showing up like actively disengaged, where they show up purposefully to make things go bad for you as their leader. Like they steal from you, they badmouth you to clients, they purposely try to create, dysfunctional teams and environments. And so the state of engagement for our team members is really poor right now. And so when Gallup went on further to do their research, they asked the employees, they said, what's the number one thing that would make a difference in how you showed up and engaged at work? And the number one difference maker, 70% of them said, it's my manager. It's how that manager shows up each day, engages me. And if that manager would show up differently and that leader would show up and do things differently, then I would be more engaged. And so there's a big problem there. And I think the coaching leadership helps us to address that problem with our teams and those that work for us and that we're connected to.
Boy, it's such powerful findings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's get in. Now you recommend, and I want to let everybody know, if you're listening to this and this is like for you, this is hitting a nerve, and you want more of this, I'm going to be sharing in the show notes as well as in the comments of this broadcast, a link to a course,
right,
to where you can go deep on this and get mentorship on this.
Mm-hmm.
So just know that there's deep resources that Building Champions and Dan and the founder of Building Champions, Dan Harkavy, have put together to really help you really implement what we're talking about here. So be watching for that. So now let's get into these 4 conversations, Dan. There's 4 things that I know you encourage every leader to have with the people that they serve.
That's correct.
What are those?
Yeah. So if you're going to be engaging your people one-on-one, if you're like me, when I first started this, I was like, okay, I've got the time scheduled. We're going to meet for 30 minutes one-on-one. And I had my first one and I'm like, well, hey, did you see the game last night? And hey, how's it going? And it's like you get lost all of a sudden. You're like, well, I know I'm supposed to be meeting with my people one-on-one, but what exactly am I supposed to be talking about? And so we've really found that there's really 4 big conversations that you need to be having consistently with your people. And the first one is around their overall well-being. And we talked about this already. This is really just you being connected with them at a human level. How are they doing physically, emotionally, mentally, in some cases spiritually, just connecting with them and seeing how is life going? How's your family? Justin, I love that when we first got on the call today, you asked me just personally, how am I doing? And that's what leaders have to do, because when people feel known and cared for at work, their engagement skyrockets. And because the reason why is because they want to believe that their leader is for them, not against them. And so when you have to make tough decisions, when you've got to maybe talk to them about performance issues, they don't view it as you angry at them and, oh my gosh, I might get fired. They're like, no, I know Justin cares for me, because I've had these one-on-ones with him where he knows about my family. He knows about my aspirations. He knows what I want to do. And so they know that when you talk to them, it's out of a heart of being for them. And so connecting with people on a well-being, you don't have to do it every single time you're with them, but you should do it pretty regularly. You should be connecting with them to know what's going on in their lives so that they feel like they're known at work.
You know, it's interesting, as you were saying that, I'm going to change one word that you said, and you're the expert here. Don't let me,
You bet,
don't
man.
let anyone think that I think I'm the expert here, but you said this is something that we have to do. I would say it's something that we get to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that's your heart, and that's what you meant,
Yep.
but I wanted to make that distinction to the audience that, like, when I slow down, I tend to be type A, very driven, and I tend to sometimes, I don't go personal very, very well, because I'm so driven. I've got these big goals and ambitions. It's like next. When I stop and genuinely care for the people that I'm working around, and I ask questions and I get curious about them, my life gets so much better. Like I love them. They love me.
Yep.
And it's not because I have some ulterior motive of helping them achieve at a higher level for me.
Yep.
That happens, right?
Yep.
But the reality is, it makes, in this world where we're kind of more separated now than we have been in the past, it's so enriching, and I'm willing to work harder for them as well. And something else came to mind as you were talking about that. I've had leaders before who I felt like they were always looking to catch me doing something wrong.
Yep. Yeah.
Whereas, and I don't know if it was ego thing. I don't know exactly what to point that to, but when you feel like you have a leader that's their sole focus is on,
yeah,
I knew it, right?
It's the warden mentality.
Yes. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
And I love that you put a label to that, because it's definitely a feeling when you get somebody who's, you just feel like they're just lurking, waiting for you to do something wrong. Whereas somebody else who just trusts and expects you're doing it right, and they're almost surprised if something goes wrong, because, well, that's not you, right?
Exactly. As a leader, we have to assume positive intent of our people, that their intentions are positive. And you can't do that if you don't know them at a human level, if you don't connect with them at a heart level. So yeah, that's why the well-being, that's the first conversation that we talk about. That's so important. The next one is vision. We've talked about this a little bit already, but you've got to know, where do these individuals want to go in their life, in their career? What are their aspirations? We want to make sure that your team members are connecting to your vision as a leader as well. They want to be able to see how the work that they do day in and day out, that it matters. That it's building something bigger than just, selling houses, putting signs in the yard, holding an open house, making a flyer for you, updating the website, whatever it might be. They need to know that their work matters. And so they got to see your vision, and then they've got to connect what they do to that vision. And that's so important for them in your coaching, to be able to remind them, hey, your work has a purpose and it's connected to a greater vision. And this is how we're impacting our community and the lives of the people that we serve, that we help buy and sell property for. And that is what's going to help increase that engagement again as well.
Boy, that's fantastic. I love that you said that. Where do you see people going? Like, what gets in the way of this, of really kind of having that vision, helping people see the vision, getting clear? What causes people to not do that?
Well, oftentimes we think that vision communication just happens by default, when in reality it happens by design. So we say, you know what? I've put my vision out there. It's on the bottom of my email signature. It's on my posters, in my conference rooms. It's on my letterhead, whatever it might be, right? We post it somewhere. It's on the website. It's on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, and everybody sees it. But are you communicating it? Are you making it real for them? Are you celebrating the successes? When you see someone on your team engaging in certain behavior that aligns with your core values, your purpose, your mission, your vision for where you see your real estate business going, do you stop and say, hey, wait a minute, I watched the way you engaged with that client. That's exactly what I want to see. That is you living out this core value. That is you living out this vision that we have. And when you recognize people and you celebrate the successes, then that ties them to the vision. But too often leaders are like, well, we came up with our vision statement and we've got some core values and a mission statement. All right, now let's go get to work and just get stuff done. And they never come back to it. And they're like, well, we put it up there. Come on, you guys know the vision. When reality is you've got to tie to it every single day. Whenever you see people living out the vision, and when you achieve something that's a part of the vision, you have to celebrate it and you have to recognize it.
Well, it's a total antithesis of what I just described, of feeling like someone's looking to catch you doing something wrong, right?
Right.
And it's
exactly
the antithesis
right.
of that. And it just, like you said, it makes those words on a page or on a website come alive into someone's life. They're like, oh, now I get what trust means.
Yes.
Like, now, like within the context of what we do. And it's,
yeah,
that's
exactly. And that's what, and when you have people that know exactly what their role is and how that role plays into the vision, then you can have that third conversation that we focus on, which is all about focus and execution, where individuals know exactly what it is that's expected of them. And when you're having coaching conversations with them, you're pulling out, a one-page business plan. You're talking to them about the key priorities and projects that they're focusing in on, the disciplines, the goals that they have. And you're holding them accountable to it, not because you're that warden, but you're holding them accountable to it because you know that you've set these goals together, right? That's a big thing right there. You never want to be a leader that just tells people, hey, here are your goals. You want to do it collaboratively. They need to hear your vision and say where you need to be able to say, this is what we need to be doing this month, but let's set some goals that are going to help us achieve that success. So when you do that together, then you can have those conversations around focus and execution. And you can basically come into those saying, how can I help you as your leader be better at what you do? Tell me where you're at in terms of your prospecting. Tell me where you're at in terms of our marketing plan. Tell me where you're at in terms of the client engagement with our tribe and past clients. How are we doing there? And you have sort of a game plan that you've set up with them. And you come in to say, let me remove barriers and obstacles so that you can go be your best. And that's really the third conversation, is all about execution, helping them to get the job that you've tasked them to do done and get all the obstacles out of the way for them.
I've got the good fortune of working for Old Republic Title, and I'll say that the retention strategy with this company is exactly what you just described right there. Is it
Awesome.
We genuinely feel like the leaders work for us as opposed to us working for the leaders.
Yeah.
And when there's an obstacle, when there's something that needs to be overcome, we feel like each one of us have massive amounts of potential to perform, but there's things that get in the way that are sometimes out of our control to some degree. And when we feel like we have somebody else who is working on removing obstacles so that we can go perform at our highest level, man, that's invigorating. So invigorating.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps to have the clarity of what success looks like. Like so often as a leader, sometimes we have what a win looks like in our head, but we struggle to share it with people. And so if we can clearly articulate, hey, this is what a win looks like for us as a team and for you in your role, and here's how I'm going to come in to help you, then that is phenomenal for our team members, because now they know, okay, that's the direction I got to go. This is what success looks like. This is how, Justin's going to help me get the obstacles out of the way so that I can go be what I need to be and do the things that I need to do. Which really leads to like the fourth big conversation piece, which is productivity. So we have well-being, vision, execution. Productivity is the last one. And if you're talking to your people on a regular basis about making sure that they know what their high payoff activities are, that you give them permission to say no to good things so that they can say yes to really great things. You're helping them to have an ideal week in terms of how they structure their day. You're helping them to develop morning routines and end of day routines. That is so essential for having a team that's engaged, because sometimes we can help people set goals, but then we don't help them to create the structure to be productive to go and achieve those goals. And so really setting the goals and communicating what success looks like, that's just the first part. And for me, it's the easy part. Where it really gets tough is when you don't know how to be productive during the day to achieve those goals. How do I set up my schedule so that I make my calls, that I get my projects done, that I'm focused on the right relationships? And that's what that productivity conversation is all about as a coaching leader, is making sure they know with clarity, what are their high payoff activities? Are they empowered to say no? And do they have everything they need from a system standpoint, and a morning routine and an evening routine to make sure that they're starting the day right and ending the day right, being productive?
Love it. That's, in our world of so many communication channels coming at people, whether it be through social media, it's productivities, I think, is one of the more difficult challenges, and to have a
Yep.
structure in place that helps people to really perform at their highest level.
Yes.
Especially I think when you're dealing, again, speaking to the real estate agent and mortgage loan officer world, if finding that kind of structure that actually helps people that oftentimes are paid a lot based on how they perform,
Yes.
it's in everybody's best interest, right? This isn't
It
just
is.
so that I can milk every ounce of effort out of you during each hour, right? But
Right.
it's like, how do we help you perform at the highest level? Let us
Yeah.
create a framework that allows you to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you have the right people in the right positions,
Mhm.
then they're going to be, when we talk about high payoff activities and them being super productive, they're going to love doing it because this is their natural gifting and their skill. Where
Yeah.
you usually run into trouble as a leader is when you forced a square peg into a round hole and you've said, you have to be successful in this area. And they're like, okay, I'll do my best, but this isn't where I'm gifted and naturally skilled. So as a leader, if you can get the right people in the right positions on your team doing the right things, then this productivity really becomes something that can be achieved. You can have people that love their job, they know what success looks like, and they enjoy doing the high payoff activities that you've asked them to do.
So good. Everybody's shows up invigorated to be at work
Yeah.
because they're doing the
Mhm.
work they love.
Yeah, exactly.
So the last request I have of you is, how
Yep.
how do people get started, right? These 4 conversations.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so that's really the e-course that we designed. We designed the e-course based on the founder of our organization. He wrote a book about 15 years ago called Becoming a Coaching Leader. And this was actually the book that I read when I was about 23 years old. I was being put into my first real estate management position. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I just started looking for books to read. And I came across this book. And it wasn't everything that I just shared, but it was the beginning of it, right? It was 15 years ago, Daniel's thoughts on it. Well, we've taken the last 15 years and of all of our learnings from coaching leaders and helping people with their teams, and we've developed this e-course that allows you to dive into not just these big 4 conversations, but it teaches you the mindset, the skills of a coaching leader, the big 4 conversations, the systems and tools that you need to have. And we provide you with a ton of systems and tools as well. So that online course that we've designed, that's meant for someone that wants to learn at their own pace, to become a coaching leader. They want to move from this managerial sort of mindset to more of a coaching leader mindset and philosophy. I'd say the e-course is a great way to start right now. And then if you want to learn more, then it turns into a, hey, let's talk deeper about how you could have a coach maybe help you with that. But the self-paced e-course, man, if I would have had this 15 years ago, oh my gosh, it would have been fantastic. I would have avoided so many mistakes as a coaching leader. So
Your learning curve would have been way
yes,
different, right? Way faster.
yes, exactly.
All right, let's end. Thank you so much, Dan. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
And for everybody listening, that a link to that e-course is going to be available. Becoming a coaching leader is going to be available. In fact, we'll put it in the group. Is there anything that you could offer that we could maybe put in the Think Bigger Real Estate group, a PDF summary, just something that you think would be valuable, that would be an implementable item to help people kind of take the concepts we talked about here and get started with them?
I can provide that with you guys. And also on that link, if you go to the one that Justin gave you, it'll be a 20% off the e-course. I forgot to tell you that. So we'll give you 20% off if you click on that link. So I'll provide you with a summary of it and everything. You'll have it all.
Fantastic. Boy, what a gift, and big thanks to you. My final question, Dan, is that you are a big thinker. That's why you're on the Think Bigger Real Estate Show.
That's right.
What does a guy like you do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand Dan Foster's possibilities? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, it's for me, I'm very similar. The way you described yourself, very driven individual, very people oriented. I love to have influence on people. And one of the things I had to learn Justin, early on was humility. And that's where it starts for me. I am learning more and more each day that if I don't stop and say, Dan, there may be another perspective here. There may be another way of doing this. You need to expand what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're believing about this topic in leadership or this topic at home. If I don't do that on a regular basis, then I don't remain hungry. And I think that I've got it figured out. And I just simply kind of get into cruise control, and I expect people to do everything that I do and they should just listen to me. But when I'm humble and I'm hungry, then I'm able to go out there and say, okay, I got to learn today. I've got to read books. I've got to listen to podcasts. I've got to read blog posts. I've got to connect and network with other people to hear what they're doing and how they're approaching things. And for me, that is what I've come to understand about myself, that I have to practice humility purposefully, because the way I'm designed, I would have a tendency to have a big ego that would just make me think at night, I've got this figured out. So practicing humility purposefully, going out there and being hungry and seeking to understand, not necessarily to agree or disagree, but just to know and to understand and apply then what I've learned. Because I don't know about you, but the more people I talk to, the more I'm like, oh, wow, I've never thought that way, or I've never really looked at a challenge or a problem that way. And I love that. I love having my perspective changed and my mindset changed by learning. And so for me, that's what it comes down to, Justin.
Well, that's powerful. Oftentimes I think humility is associated with weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those who are the strongest recognize that humility is actually one of the greatest strengths, because it opens you up to learning. It opens you up to growth.
Yep.
Whereas
exactly.
Pride closes you down. And like you said, it makes us think that we got it all figured out already. I don't need to learn anything. We all know we got a long ways to go. So Dan, what a pleasure again. Thank you so much. I know we've gone a little bit over, but man, you've hopefully we haven't interfered too much with kind of your next plans, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on and to have you pour in, teaching us how to become a coaching leader. What a bright spot you are in this universe we live in. So thank you for all that you do, the impact that you're having. It's a total pleasure. And again, I would encourage everybody here, go find Dan's resources. Let's get those implemented so that you can become the kind of leader that attracts the kind of people that you need to become your best self. And then my final request of everybody listening here today are 3 simple words, and they are go, think bigger. Thank you so much, Dan, for helping us do that today, my friend.
Thank you, Justin. No problem. Great to be with you.
You too.